Thank you so much for joining in. I'm Oscar Blue for Real America's Boys News. How's everybody doing? Good evening to all. Fix my hat right there. I apologize for that. Thank you so much for joining in. Good evening. Good morning. Good morning. I'm sorry. Good morning. It is 10:36 in the morning. First and foremost, I would like to say Happy Mother's Day to every single woman that it's out there that has raised a child and give birth to a child. You are blessed. We cannot live without you. You are the most important human being in the universe. So, happy Mother's Day to every single one of you. The topic of today it is the new elected president of Panama has declared that he is more than willing to close the Darien Gap. How is he going to do it? Is it going to be easy? Is it going to be uh, something that what he needs to do, things that he has to do, what things that he has to do, what not? And which I can tell you, Ben Berquam, myself, we are the most experienced on this topic. We are the only ones, Real America's Boys News, that have walked this route 4 times. 4 times. We are the only ones in the world that have done this as reporters and journalists 4 times. And what we can tell you, it is a complete nightmare. Since the first time that we crossed it, it was a complete nightmare. And ultimately, now that this new elected Panamanian president has said that he is willing to close the Darien Gap, well, it pleases me to a way that lives are going to be saved. That's the most important thing. For me, that is that lives are going to be saved. That ultimately, what we have shown to the world of this route has been to open the eyes and to show the reality of what people go through in the middle of the jungle. Yesterday, there was a premiere on Epoch Times TV of a documentary that is called Weapons of Mass Migration, hosted by Joshua Phillips. I was one of the primary characters on this documentary. So important of our contribution to this documentary that I feel proud in a way that we are taking the noticeable situations which are affecting the world into a next level. And now the new elected president of Panama has declared that he wants to close the Darien Gap. This is a live feed of a video which he is saying particularly in 1 minute what is he going to do to close the Darien Gap. And ultimately, we know that closing the Darien Gap, it is going to be extremely difficult. This due to the organized crime that operates in Colombia. And not only that, to all the business that has created inside in the interior with the indigenous tribes. It is a lot of money. And ultimately, he knows about this and he wants to bring the culture back to where it was into the tribes to decontaminate what the jungle has been in an environmental complete disaster of this mass migration, completely destroy the jungle. But most importantly, to save lives and to stop the organized crime from enriching themselves out of human misery. The most important thing, the NGOs. They're the ones that they're categorizing the new elected president as a inhuman and as he is violating human rights. He's not. He is protecting ultimately the sovereignty of his nation. And ultimately, not only that, but he wants to prevent people from dying. The NGOs want this to continue. The NGOs that they are advocating for this to continue are the ones that they're profiting out of human misery and living out of this human misery and human disaster. It's been years and years and years of this catastrophe and this crisis inside of the jungle. And no international organization or NGO has provided a solution other than putting people to walk through this dangerous route, knowing that they collect international funds, continuing with this route that is completely dangerous. These are the statements of the new elected president, and I will translate. Before I go, buy me a coffee. It is right there, pinned on the chat on YouTube. If you guys like to contribute to my independent reporting and travel fund, buy me a coffee. It is right there. Let's go with the video, and I will translate what the new elected president of Panama said on a live feed, that it was cut and sent to me, clipped and sent to me for for everybody to see.
No es una ruta de tránsito.
It is not a route to transit. Darien, it is not a route.
No, señor.
No, sir.
Esa es nuestra frontera.
That is our border.
Y el concepto de cierre que es usado.
And the concept to close the Darien that it has been used.
Implica también un concepto filosófico.
Also implies a philosophical concept.
Que guarda relación con cerrar la frontera en función de que iniciaremos.
And also that takes to notice of closing of the border, adding that we are going to start
con ayuda internacional un proceso de repatriación.
With international help, we are going to start a return back home program.
Con todo apego a los derechos humanos.
With everything that is attached to human rights.
De todas las personas que están allí.
Of every single person that is located right there. There is going to be a program for them to return back home.
Para que sepan los de allá y los que quisieran venir.
So everybody, we will send a message to the ones that they are over there and the ones that they want to come.
Que aquí el que llega se va a devolver a su país de origen.
That the one that comes over here and the one that wants to come over here, they will know that they will be returned back to their country.
Seré inflexible.
I'll be flexible.
Con la lucha contra el tráfico de drogas.
With the fight against narco-terrorism. So this is his posture in terms to closing the Darien Gap. I have been in there 4 times. In those 4 times, that I have been there, I don't see how it is going to, how he is going to do it. And this is why he said in the most philosophical way. He's possibly has already a strategy to push the international organizations to do something in their native countries, or ultimately in the side of Colombia, where Colombia, it is the one that continuously smuggles people into the Darien Gap. It is where the Clan del Golfo, the cartel, operates humongously and pushes people, making millions and millions and millions. And a lot of people have asked, the question is how he will do it, if he will do it, if he is going to do it. I believe those questions are secondary. Everything starts with an initiative. And believe me, he's the only president and the only government who has tried to send a message to the world that Darien, it is not a route, that please, people, do not put yourselves on these harm's way. The only government that has done a campaign that Darien is not a route, it is Panama. The Biden administration has been completely the opposite, has been completely, the government of the United States has been the one that is incentivizing this to continue. Also, other governments have been complicit, being part of a global compact on migration, not going with the regulations of the global compact on migration that is safe, orderly, documented, peaceful migration. completely the opposite. And this has exacerbated into people losing their lives in the middle of a jungle. And this is a reality. People are losing their lives in the middle of the jungle. We have been in the Coakley on the other side of the jungle, in the Colombian side. Ben Berquam and myself, we showed how these shopping carts, they are is a business now. It's a humanitarian business. People are selling tents, they're selling stoves, they're selling boots for you to go into the Darien. And Ben Berquam and myself, we discovered the rape kits that the United Nations was giving out. They were giving out condoms to men before entering the jungle and Plan B pills to women for them to not get pregnant, knowing that there was a possibility of them being raped. And they call this as a prevention kit. Amazing, amazing, and unbelievable. The tourist packages on the side of Colombia are between 320, 340, and $350 that they pay per person. That this packages, ultimately you pay them and they take you on a boat on a 2.5 hour boat ride into the middle of the sea where you enter to these villages. And in these villages, you have to pay another amount to stay at a particular place. And then a guide that is a trafficker will take you to the middle of the limitations of the jungle and then leave you stranded because they cannot cross the limitation to Panama. It is unbelievable that this business has continued with millions of people. The only thing that I can say that makes me stay in peace after the 4 times that I have been into this hellhole, it is that justice is being done for the people that they have lost their lives, for the people that they did not make it out, for the children that they did not make it out, for the multiple women that I saw in the middle of the jungle being abused, being raped with, rape situations, the multiple rivers and the children that almost drowned, multiple decomposed bodies that we saw. Horrible situations, horrible epicenter for migration. At one particular point, I was standing on the other side of the river carrying children, and I went to a corner and I started crying because I could not believe that our people, our Latino people, are going through this and they're being used as a weaponized migration to destabilize border under an international global compact on migration that is completely the opposite of being human. It is completely inhuman. And now that this elected president, it is trying to do something to save lives and to end and attack the organized crime. The ones that they are attacking him are these international NGOs. Because if he stops this, the profiting of this international humanitarian business, it will stop. Exactly what happened in El Salvador with President Nayib Bukele. They were criticizing him that nothing was being done against the MS gang. He came in to be a president. He ended the MS gang. He created the biggest narco terrorism prison in the whole continent. He completely, almost 90%, eradicated the problem of El Salvador, one of the most insecure countries in the world. Now is one of the safest countries in the world to be traveling. And the only ones that they are attacking are the NGOs. Why? Because the NGOs, they live out of humanitarian crisis. And now this new elected president, this new man, wants to come in and safeguard his territory, safeguard the migrants that they're vulnerable, try to create another pathway for them to go and migrate peacefully, documented and regular and safe. And ultimately, now they're being attacked by international organizations with lies, with speculations and accusations that they are, you know, not even factual because none of these NGOs has ever walked inside of the Darien, so they don't know the suffering. And the statements of this new elected president, he intends to close it. And he says close it, but in a philosophical way. Also, he addresses the situation in a philosophical way. How is he trying to do it? He has his own strategy. Possibly he knows how is he going to do it. And uh, you know, it's more important that it's about saving lives. ending the business, the illicit business that is going on over there, and the destruction, ultimately, the destruction of the environment. That is one of the things. Now, let's go back to the number one problem of this. Why this is happening? Just yesterday, there was a documentary that is called "Weapons of Mass Migration." That it was done by the Epic Times, and I participated on this documentary. And on this documentary, I mentioned to Joshua Phillips continuously the global compact of immigration. It is the number one problem of this mass migration around the globe, and it has been a problem over here. I continuously was talking to him while we were walking, and I was telling him the NGOs, the United Nations. And one of the things that he did, that it was a complete accurate statement, that nobody said it better than him. He said, I thought that the cartels were running the mass migration and they were running the whole operandi. And it come to my eyes that it's not the cartels. It is the UN who runs the operandi of the mass migration, irregular migration, and these NGOs. They profit also out of human misery and they make a lot of money. Ultimately, they try to help in attention points, but the ones that they take brutally advantage of it is the cartel, because they have a gigantic opening because of this global compact of immigration. The only man who got out of it, and the only man who said, I'm not going to participate on this global compact, is the most hated man that ever been in a president in the United States of America. He was the one that said, we are for legal migration. There is a door, and the global compact of immigration. It doesn't it doesn't go with the American values and what American immigration is. The only man who did that was this. This is Donald Trump. This is his statement in the United Nations. This is what he said about the global compact of immigration. The problem that you have, we have been talking about this for years, people, for years. And I have been saying to you guys, it doesn't even matter how tall is the wall, how long is the wall, how large is the wall, how many National Guard officials you put on the U.S. border. As long as you are a collaborator on this international treaty, you will have a mass migration, because you're obligated to receive asylees and refugees, and it surpasses your immigration law. So the ones that they're in charge of your border, it is the UN. Listen to this statement that he says right here. It is amazing how, now this has a natural effect, and everybody forgot about this video. This started in the times of Barack Obama. He was the one that brought it in. Then Trump came in, he got out of it, and now Joe Biden got in, and he is a collaborator of it. This is the reason why you have a mass migration. This is his statements on particularly globalized migration. Listen to this.
The United States is also working with partners in Latin America to confront threats to sovereignty from uncontrolled migration. Tolerance for human struggling and human smuggling and trafficking is not humane. It's a horrible thing that's going on at levels that nobody has ever seen before. It's very, very cruel. Illegal immigration funds criminal networks, ruthless gangs, and the flow of deadly drugs. Illegal immigration exploits vulnerable populations, hurts hardworking citizens, and has produced a vicious cycle of crime, violence, and poverty. Only by upholding national borders, destroying criminal gangs, can we break this cycle and establish a real foundation for prosperity. We recognize the right of every nation in this room to set its own immigration policy in accordance with its, just as we ask other countries to respect our own right to do the same, which we are doing. That is one reason the United States will not participate in the new global compact on migration. Migration should not be governed by an international body unaccountable to our own citizens. Ultimately, the only long-term solution to the migration crisis is to help people build more hopeful futures in their home countries. Make their countries great again.
This is the only statement, and I will tell you, is he wrong about everything that he said? Is he wrong about calling illegal migration brutal? Is he wrong about calling smuggling brutal? Is he wrong about calling trafficking one of the most dangerous things? Every single individual, whoever it is, we will acknowledge and say, yes, it is brutal. It is horrible. And look what is happening right now. The problems has exacerbated through this global compact that we have been talking about it for years. A lot of the progressive, mercenary, activist, communist, socialist, liberal has criticized me because they say you only talk about that. Yes, because I know that's your only key. You're living out of an international treaty. If this international treaty will be non-existent, it will be ultimately, you will not have this gigantic opening to do as you do right now. And let me just, somebody in the live feed is saying, do you have any footage when you guys went through the Darien? It's a lot of footage. I have a massive footage. Go to my page. You must be new. Welcome. Let me just not get interrupted quickly and talk about this real quick. I have put so many times this manifesto in your screen. And I will suggest and I will invite you to watch the documentary just released by Epic Times, starring Joshua J. Phillips, that is called Weapons of Mass Migration. It has a lot of experts like Todd Bensman and Michael Young and other people that they're really experts on, and myself, on migration, that we know exactly what is the current situation, and we have been in the epicenters, not only in the borders with the United States, but Mexico, Central America, South America, Europe. And this is the actual global compact on migration. And I would like for you to understand again, what is it about? What it represents, so you can understand why this problem is exacerbated and it is growing. I will read some points so you can understand the member states' commitment. And this is, the member states' commitment has a lot of points, but let me just put objective 6. Reviewing employment, recruiting mechanisms to guarantee that they are fair and ethical. 13, using migration detention only as a measure of last resort and working towards alternatives. 15, providing access to basic services for migrants regardless of their migrant status. 16, empowering migrants to become active members of society and promoting mutual respect and understanding between migrants and receiving communities. 17, eliminating all forms of discrimination and related intolerance against all migrants. 18, investing in the identification and development of migrant skills and qualifications. The other point, reduce forced migration by objective 2, minimizing factors that compel people to leave their country of origin. That is a lie. Objective 5, enhancing pathways for regular migration. The Darien Gap is a pathway. A caravan in the south of Mexico is a pathway. Objective 19, creating conditions for migrants and diasporas to fully contribute to sustainable development. Migrant camps in the middle of a canal in Mexico, those are conditions for migrants. Objective 20, improving the remittance transfer process and migrant access to financial institutions. Objective 22, making Social Security entitlements and earned benefits portable. This is what is happening to the United States. Objective 23, strengthening international cooperation and global partnerships for safe, orderly, and regular migration. Completely the opposite. Let's go to the other point. It says improve migration management by Objective 1, collecting and utilizing accurate and disregarded data. 3, providing accurate and timely information at all stages of migration. That's a lie. Objective 4, ensuring that all migrants, including stateless people, have proof of legal entity and adequate documentation. That is why a lot of your situation in your country, they're being documented and being given identifications. Objective 7, reducing vulnerabilities of migrants in countries of origin, transit, and destination. That is a complete lie. You haven't done that. Objective 12, increasing legal certainty and predictability of migration procedures. That is a lie also. Objective 14, straightening consular protection and assistance. That is a complete obvious lie. The organized crime operates on all entrances where they are being trafficked. And the last point is enhanced safety migration by Objective 8, saving lives and preventing migrant deaths and injuries. Complete and obvious lie. The whole contraire. Migrants are being trafficked. Under the Biden administration is where more migrants have died between the limitations of Mexico and the United States. More migrants have died under the Biden administration in the Darien Gap and have been kidnapped and extortion in Central America. Objective 9, intensifying joint efforts to prevent a counter-smuggling migrants. Complete lie. The only government that has done that is Panama. On the other hand, no international organization has promoted a campaign like it has done, like the Panamanian government. Objective 10, acting to prevent, combat, and eradicate trafficking of persons. Look what is happening at the borders. In every open border gap, you have an NGO receiving them where the cartel is up actually dropping them off. Objective 11, promoting bilateral and regional cooperation to manage national borders in coordinated manner. In Objective 21, facilitating safe and dignified return and readmission, as well as sustainable reintegration. These are a few points of the Global Compact of Migration. These are a few points of the Global Compact of Immigration. This is what your country of the United States is going through. This is what all Central and South American countries have gone through. And now you understand why I have been so persistent throughout the years about this international treaty and agreement that is completely the opposite, that it violates human rights, and also that is completely inhuman. It's completely the opposite of what has been the intention to be. The intention to be of this particular international compact, it is to be more humane, it is to bring more awareness, it is to save lives, it is to save lives and safeguard the migrant to have a better opportunity, in another country, to migrate to another country. But at the same time, they're talking about safeguarding in their country and not in enhancing the idea that they cannot, do not actually promote to get out of your country. And that is completely the opposite. Completely the opposite. That is what is continuously happening. Now you have NGOs that they're fighting for the Darien Gap, and they want to continue for people to risk their lives inside of the Darien Gap under the justification that is inhuman. And they have never walked the trail. Never. It is unbelievable where it has led. Now, going back to the main topic, let's see how the Panamanian government and this new elected president will come about the strategy of to see how is he going to close or regulate the transit of the Darien Gap inside of the jungle. It's absolutely dangerous. Yes, it is. Is a life and death experience. Yes, it is. We have been, these two guys right here on the back, we have been in there 2 times. And it has been completely exhausting, life risking, and really difficult. And we prepare physically ourselves for that task. I cannot bear to imagine a child, a woman, which I have seen going through that journey consistently year after year after year after year, being promoted under the idea that they will get to a safer place, and also being a part of being trafficked by paying the organized crime. Thank you so much for joining in. I'm Oscar Blue for Real America's Voice News. Buy me a coffee. It is right there, pinned in the chat. Your support is much needed. We are about to be traveling soon. We cannot do this alone. We have been risking our lives and putting our lives in danger, putting our lives in harm's way. We want to travel again to South America and go to several different places, but we cannot do it without your help. So it is right there. Your support is much needed. Thank you so much. Really appreciate if you guys can help. And if you guys can donate for us to continue. I think we are going and moving fast forwarding. Our work has reached another pedestal, another pedestal beyond just informing at a particular place. Is worldwide, noticeable news. And it's really important that we expand this information with the Epic Times, documentary that it just came out. And we will try to get the documentary again We'll try to get some clips of this, try to get some clips of this documentary, ultimately into our platforms and into our social media. It's as every day we are advancing, and this is why we have been so persistent. This is why we have been, so persistent continuously, because we know what we are speaking about. And the enemy is always going to be there using the narrative that I cannot believe you, being a brown Mexican national, you are not on our side. Why should I be on your side? That is the inhuman side. That is the side that you are using our Latino people for your political gain and votes and destabilizing the borders of every country, using our people for a political purpose, not for the right purpose, that is to help them to be at a better place, at a better home, with the better possibilities for them to not to suffer. At the end of the day, you're using them for a political party and for a political purpose. You're not doing it for the right reasons. And ultimately, you're taking advantage of them, like a lot of these international organizations living out of human misery. That is the sad thing about it. God bless you. Stay safe. Buy me a coffee again. I say, people, it is right there, pinned in the chat. It has been a beautiful, beautiful live feed to speak with you guys and talk to you guys on this evening on the 10th of May. Again, I congratulate all the women which have been, today, all women that they have raised children, and also women that they have give birth, the mothers, to all mothers, happy Mother's Day to every single one of you. Without you, the world will not be functioning. The world will not work. The most beautiful, human being on this planet, it is a woman. We cannot live without them. God bless you. Stay safe. And like we always say, people, God's plan